Hello and welcome to LMPS Voices, where we showcase the research and experiences of students, staff, and faculty here at York University. My name is Afka Hinalam, and with me today I have Marco Sestito, Acting Manager of Student Engagement at LMPS Colleges. Marco, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
No problem. Thanks, Afka. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for making time to be here. Before we begin, just tell us about yourself. What is like being manager of student engagement, and how long have you been here, and just tell us generally who you are.
Okay. Well, I've been at York for about 18 years in different roles. Most recently as acting manager over the last 7 months, which has been great. Like, I have a really good team. Very busy though. It's very busy. We have 4 different colleges, currently 9 staff members, 4 college heads, helping students in the largest faculty at York. So lots of different projects, lots of different things on the go.
What did you study at York, and how was your experience transitioning from high school?
It was a difficult transition. Was very anxious, found myself having like panic attacks going to class. So I skipped a lot of my classes that first year. And because of that, I couldn't complete all my courses and had to transfer outside from Schulich to a different faculty. So it was difficult because I tried to do everything by myself. I thought I could handle things, and I didn't seek out any resources like any of the student services resources or the counseling and well-being resources that York has to offer. And so it was a very difficult transition that first year.
What advice would you give to yourself when you were first year, if you could give that young Marco advice?
Would be to not be afraid to ask for help, really, because if I'm sure if I had sought help, if I talked to someone about what I was experiencing or what I was going through, that probably my whole York experience may have been different. Even if it just meant I would have stayed in Schulich, I would have had a different degree or had potentially a different career path. Not that I'm complaining, because I like what I'm doing. And life has a funny way of working out where it leads you sometimes where you need to be. But even if it was just to avoid really that very, very difficult year, it would have been nice to reach out, to not try to just take everything on by myself, and really just be open to ask for help.
So what was the leap between like your first year, that transition, and like eventually, I assume like, you ended up doing better later, right? Like, what made the, how'd you make that transition? Like, what changed after your first year? What helped you?
I wish I could say that it was because I smartened up and asked for help, but no, I was still stupid and tried to do things by myself. But what helped was taking a year where, that summer I just kind of focused on myself, tried to focus on trying to figure out what was happening and how to best support myself and work through it. And really it was just persistency and, continuing to come to class, learning to live with the feeling of being uncomfortable and feeling anxious. And, the thing with fear is that the more you avoid something, the stronger the fear gets. And sometimes, although it's very difficult, you have to face that fear, and it's really uncomfortable, and it's not easy. But the more you expose yourself to the things that make you afraid, the less power that fear has. And so that's sort of what happened. I just made a real conscious effort to not skip classes. I was often sitting in the back by the door because it was my escape route if I needed to, but it wasn't something that I had to utilize. And so little by little, got more comfortable, felt more at ease, and was able to really, focus on my studies, to the point where I was able to turn things around. So my first year at Schulich, my grades were terrible. I think I had 3 Ds, a C+, a B. I got 1 A somehow. I don't know how. But then by the time I convocated or graduated, I was on the dean's list at the time. So yeah, so it worked out.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good story. I mean, you often hear even at like law school events, you'll hear like lawyers like, yeah, I was so embarrassed how many times I failed the bar, or how many times how much I struggled with like my admissions and stuff. Because you don't really hear these stories. You kind of assume that everyone who's like in a position just like did great. So it's really thank you for sharing that story. Did you take advantage? Were you familiar with the college system when you were an undergrad?
No, no, and I regret that, because now that I've been in the colleges for so long, and I can see the impact that being involved in the college community has on students. It was something I was really lacking. So I was the typical commuter student, come to class, go to the library between classes, and then go home. And I missed out on a lot of that social engagement, which is really, really, I think, important to, not only to enhance your time here at the university, but I'm sure if I had that support network of friends, probably would have changed the outcome or been different. So unfortunately, no, I wasn't involved, and it's something I regret. And I try to make up for my not being involved by encouraging as many students as I can to be involved as possible.
Living vicariously through thousands of students every year.
Okay, I wouldn't put it exactly that way, but sure, let's go with it.
Okay. So what are the four colleges within LAMPS, and like what do kind of each of them focus on?
So our four colleges, going in alphabetical order, are Founders College, McLaughlin College, New College, and Vanier College. And not going in alphabetical order, but going in terms of
Favorites.
not favorites. They're all my favorites. Going in terms of which the mandate of each college. So McLaughlin College is our first year, early years college. So a lot of the programming that comes out of McLaughlin is focused on that transition piece. So there's the first year experience, there's our peer mentorship program, our orientations are kind of spearheaded or organized with Professor Stevie Bell, who's the head of McLaughlin College, and myself. So that's McLaughlin. Then Vanier College is our upper years college. So the mandate of Vanier is, supporting students in their third and fourth year who are transitioning from being an undergraduate student to that next part of their lives, be it graduate school or entering the workforce. Vanier also focuses on student clubs and student councils. Then we will go to New College, which is our graduate college. And the programming that comes out of Atkinson is really geared to supporting graduate students. And, for many graduate students, there's very few opportunities for that social engagement. So the work that's being done at New College is great because it's providing that community building, that social engagement for graduate students. And then Founders is, I like to call it like our pan lapse college, because Founders programming is really focused on DEI initiatives and supporting students from underrepresented communities. The Advancing You program is part of Founders College. And so that work is applicable across all of our colleges. And then each college also has, the continuing relationships with the affiliated academic programs that are affiliated with them. So those are the colleges in a nutshell.
Okay. A lot of information there. What events have the colleges done like in last year that you especially like, that really stand out to you?
There's a couple. There's more than a couple. Starting just chronologically, I really liked the work that everybody put in for fall orientation. So fall orientation every year is our biggest, most complex event. We're welcoming all of the incoming students and LAPS, to York. So, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 students. And just seeing the work that the student engagement team, that our college heads, that our administrative team all put into it to make that day meaningful for our students is one. That's one highlight. A couple other highlights have been the Advancing You program. So the Advancing You program, right now there's two streams. One focused on female students, the other one focusing on Black students, and it's really a mentorship program for those students, and just to see the impact that program is having on those students, and knowing all the work that's going into it behind the scenes has been really special. And if I had to pick a third one, what's happening here in New College, because the work being done to support graduate students, I don't think it's been done anywhere in this way anywhere else. And so, when the grad cafes started, for example, here at New College, the very first grad cafe had 2 graduate students participate. And the most recent one had over 30 students register, I think close to 20 students. I remember it's the middle of summer when we're filming this. So having close to 20 students, graduate students, coming for an event is almost unheard of. So really proud of the work that's being done here too.
So many students are going to be starting here at LAPS, and they're going to be confused about like what college they belong to and why. I think even if I ask students in their 3rd or 4th year, what college are you in, or like, hey, do you want to go to like this event here? They're kind of confused as to what the college system is. How would you explain how students are kind of assigned to the college? Can they change that? What is the sort of purpose of that? Like, how would you explain that to a new student?
So college affiliation is based on your academic program. So if you are a history student, for example, your college affiliation is automatically with Founders. If you're an economics student, your affiliation is automatically with Vanier, and so on. I would explain the college system. So if you look at York has a population, when you include undergraduate students, graduate students, staff, faculty, of over 50,000, which is like a small city. Mm-hmm. So your college think of your college like your neighborhood in that small city. So each college, you have, the college head office, which is, that administrative hub, the administrative center. You have our student engagement team that develops all different programs and activities. You have a student council that represents the students. It's your neighborhood. So it's the place where you hang out with friends. You're a work study student. So, it's a place where you work. It's a place where you can have that smaller community within the larger community of York University.
So you mentioned like going back to school as you worked for a few years and now you're back in your master's. Like York has a large international student population, mm-hmm. has quite a sizable mature student population, and also usually when people do their master's or their PhD, they've often been in the workforce for a few years, or they're older. Some of them have had kids. What advice would you give to older students to kind of feel at home at York University?
Tough. Good question. So there's more than one piece of advice. So one piece of advice refers to really all students, and that is to make those connections, mm-hmm. right? So whether you're an undergraduate student or a mature student, look for opportunities to connect with your peers. So for undergraduate students, one of the things I always highly recommend is, if they're able to participate in Social Orientation Week, mm-hmm. Where they get to, really meet folks who often end up being their friends for their entire time at the university.
Scary. No, okay, it's good. It's good.
And
what is a social week? Like, what does that look like?
So Social Orientation Week is organized by the college councils, and it's a week-long series of events, trips, activities that students participate in. And it's really, a chance for students to meet one another, to get to know one another. There are older students who volunteer as social orientation leaders. It's a really good experience if students are interested in. So it's a good way to kind of make friends, to build those social connections, which are really important. Same thing for mature students. York has the Atkinson Center for Mature and Part-Time Students, which is another great internal York resource to help students find that community. York International and LAPS International for students in LAPS programs is also a really good way to meet other students, to connect. So that's one piece of advice. The other piece of advice I would have would be, time management. So it's very easy to, to fall behind. It's very easy to feel overwhelmed when you have not just your studies, but, as you mentioned, if you're an older student, or if you're not an older student, but you have family responsibilities or you have work. So being organized, being able to develop a schedule that works for you, that helps manage your time, I think is really important. The other thing I would say is not feeling as though you have to complete your degree in 4 years. There is nothing preventing anyone from completing their degree in 6 years or 7 years. And if that's what you need to do in order to balance your other responsibilities, your other obligations, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the other thing would be really, to learn from my mistake where I did not seek out help, is really to allow yourself to be vulnerable and, ask for help when you need it. There's a lot of really good people at York who are more than willing to help. You just have to be willing to ask.
And if someone does want to help, where should they go?
Well, I mean, it depends on the nature of the help that they need, but really, it's just go to the person who you're most comfortable going to, right? It could be a faculty member, it could be a staff member, it could be a fellow student, but just start talking to someone. York has a lot of really great resources to help students. Anybody who's watching this video who's a York student or is thinking about being a York student, browse our website. Look for, student counseling, health and well-being. Look for LAPS International or York International or the Atkinson Center for Mature and Part-Time Students. Look for the colleges. And really, don't be afraid to just reach out and ask.
Okay, and with that, I think that's a wrap. Marco Sestito, Acting Manager of Student Engagement at LAPS Colleges. Thank you so much for coming.
No problem. Pleasure being here.
My name is Afka Hinalam, and thanks for watching LAPS Voices.